Hello everyone, my name is Sean. I am the Crypto Smith. I do appreciate you checking back in with me on this Terareum AMA update. I'm just going to give you my thoughts and a little bit of information of what came out of this and what I think is going to happen going forward. But first, let's address what's going on, right? In the very beginning of this, Milton went on a rant about how anybody who comments, they don't know what they're talking about because they've never built a centralized exchange before. So apparently we're not allowed to have an opinion or be critical about anything because we've never built an exchange, which obviously makes no sense. I'm an investor. I've got my money in Terareum. I am allowed and I will give my opinion when I feel it's necessary. If that opinion is critical, that's not my issue. That's the issue of the Terareum team and the maxis out there who want to fight back at every little thing that's said, right? If you're not 100% on board and don't paint everything that Terarium's doing in a perfect light, then somehow you're a fudder, right? Well, I'm not a fudder. I'm going to put out the information that I need to put out that I think my community needs to see, right? And then I'll give my opinions on why I think it's a mistake if I feel that way. That's not FUD, okay? That's just being honest. Some people have a hard time with honesty and with the truth. I mean, I get it. Not everybody's cut out for, proper communication and acting like adults. I know I can throw shade in the comments and I can get on Twitter and say mean things to Terarium trolls. That's not a problem. And this is not the Terarium community in general. There are just a very few people who are maxi trolls in the Terarium community. And everybody knows on Twitter who they are. And they're the same people every time. So if I come out and I say, I have a problem with dropping Terareum with a brand new token, and they've never ever mentioned there was going to be a new token, then somehow I'm a fudder. Whatever. It is what it is. So I'm just going to go over a few things and some information that they did drop in here. Milton did spend a great amount of time on this AMA explaining how difficult it is to build a centralized exchange, how complex it is, and how hard they're working. But none of this has to do with the reason the FUD existed to begin with, right? That's not why I came out against Terareum or anybody else came out against Terareum. Had nothing to do with the exchange, other than the fact that you're splitting now the team to work on two separate projects at the same time, and not ever mentioning that this other project was going to have a brand new token and asking for 5,000 ETH in the middle of this horrible bear market. He went on to talk about Ryan Patrick in specific about how he wanted X number of dollars, $25,000 to $30,000 a month, and then $2 million for marketing. And he was only willing to do, one video a week on it and all that. I can't comment on that. I don't know Milton. I don't really know Ryan that well. And I certainly wasn't there. And it's just going to be he said, she said. So that I can't really say much about, right? I just don't know. Milton also wanted to blame everybody, all the influencers, anybody on social media, why Terareum was down, right? Why the token price is down because of the FUD, right? It has nothing to do with the fact that Terareum's been around for 9 months and has zero utility, right? It's not that. It's just the FUDders out there. That's the only reason the price is down. Terareum and the blockchain are basically going to come out and go live near the same time. The blockchain sometime in 2023, they're saying about 6 months after they stabilize the exchange, which is supposed to launch December 26th. So which means basically 7 months from now. So the middle of 2023, and then sometime shortly after that, Terareum, the app and the ecosystem should drop. Now, having said that, they're having this pre-sale for Terareum in the next couple of days where they need to sell 5,000 ETH. And once they do, if they do that, basically there's going to be no utility for the Terareum token until it launches in sometime, mid next year or possibly fall of next year. So what do we think is going to happen to the price, right? And then that also brings in the question that Dean brought up is, do you think, or are you worried about the Terareum, the original Terareum token, the community cannibalizing themselves and selling off in order to buy the Terareum token? Milton didn't really answer that. It wasn't a very good answer because I don't think he really understood what Dean's question was. And so basically breaking it down, right, the token holders, they don't watch all of the AMAs. They don't read everything they need to read and be very well educated in what's going on in the system. They might see a chance for them to sell their Terareum buy the Terareum token because, hey, this is a pre-launch. And right, a lot of times in the past, pre-launch has skyrocketed, and then there's a sell-off. So they're thinking maybe this could be a good way to make some money since obviously Terareum really hasn't been doing anything, just been losing money over the last 9 months, I'm not throwing shade on Terareum for the price dropping, right? Everybody's price is down. I understand that. But I'm just trying to get in the minds of your average Terareum holder, right? And in certain situations, I might think the same thing, like, hey, maybe if the market was right, I could take some money from here, put it over here, maybe get a price jump and then sell off and put my money back in Terareum. Who knows? But that question was raised, and I think it's a legitimate question. But there was no real answer for that. Also, if they don't sell out, and this question was asked, what happens if they don't reach that 5,000 ETH, hard cap? What are they going to do? Milton says they're going to have to go with the VC then, which means pre-sale off. Not going to do the pre-sale. The community is not going to own the token. It's going to go to a VC, and that's a venture capitalist who would put his own money in, or maybe a group would get together, put the money in, give them the money they need, and then they would basically control the Terareum. So that's not, a real good look either. But who knows? Personal opinion, in this bear market is rough right now, especially with all the collapses that are going on in these various crypto companies. It's going to be damn hard to get 5,000 ETH, right? At today's price, that's over $6 million. So very tall order in that regard. One other thing I want to mention before I get into my opinion is licensing. So the question was brought up, what about licensing? Is there proof? Can we go somewhere to look to see that you're actually licensed to do a centralized exchange in these 3 areas in Dubai, India, and the US? And Dr. Praveen's answer was, yes, they went to Wyoming, the Secretary of State, and applied for a company, a business, basically, which literally anybody can do that. That doesn't cover the fact that they're going to be a centralized exchange. Being a centralized exchange here in the US, and if you do a quick search here, right, license running a centralized exchange in the US. Anti-Money Laundering Act of 2020 codifies prior financial crimes enforcement network, which is FinCEN, guidance by making all transactions in value that substitutes for currency, right? So they have to be licensed with FinCEN, number one. Now in Wyoming, you can get licensed to be a money transmitter like Binance.us has, but I don't know that they've applied for that, and I don't think that's just automatic. Like you have to do something to get that license. So there may be a couple more hoops that they're going to have to jump through in order to get the exchange launched in the US. They didn't mention anything about that, so I don't know if they've thought about that already, or if that's going to become a problem down the road. That was never addressed. So that brings me back to my opinion. My opinion on this whole thing. First of all, this is going to be the last Terareum video I do until they drop the exchange, and then I'm going to see, how it's going. Hopefully it goes well. Dean did a great job. He asked good questions, and I have no issues with Dean whatsoever. Like, Dean is a great guy. I have the utmost respect for him. Him and I, we might have a little difference of opinion on some things, and I might go about it differently than he does. But he still asked good questions. There was a lot of community questions that were over in the chat that he was asking, and they answered, I'm going to say, most of them, but we still didn't get really the answer we still didn't really get the answer to the question, why did you drop the Terareum token now? Why is it important to do it right now, and why not wait until the exchange was launched? All they have to do is wait another 6 weeks or 8 weeks to try to do this Terareum launch. Right? That just doesn't make any sense. And also, why did they never ever mention the fact that there was going to be a new token, right? They let everybody believe that the Terra token was going to be utility in this Terareum, and then just dropped a bomb right at the last second, right? And that's why everybody was upset, right? It had nothing to do with the exchange or the exchange launch or the fact that now the exchange is another 6 weeks late, right? I think all of that info was lost on Milton as to why the community was upset. I guarantee you that me and Austin and Ryan Patrick and Guy Richards and some other guys in the community out there, there's a reason that we were upset. And I guarantee you there's way more people in the community that just didn't voice their concern. But this is what we have to do, right? If I was just an individual who owned Terareum token and they dropped that stuff on you, and I didn't have a YouTube channel, or I wasn't really on social media, I might complain a little bit on Twitter, but that's it. But because I have a community that I feel like I need to protect, and I need to at least let them know what's going on and why I think it's a problem or why I think it's a good thing, that's my job as a content creator, right? I have to do that. I feel responsible to do that. Also, this is a very difficult time to launch a project. Even the guys here, they agreed that this is a very tough time because you don't see any new projects launch. I don't know if they're hoping that because this is one of the very few that are launching, like they're going to be able to attract all that attention. I don't know who else is going to put money into Terareum that isn't already into Terrarium. That's kind of my opinion on it. So I'm going to leave you with this. I wish the exchange a great launch. I do. December 26th. I hope it does very well. I hope Terareum gets off the ground and does its thing and everybody can go on. And so I'm going to leave you with this. I hope Terra Exchange does well. It launches December 26th without any issues, and Terareum can go on and do whatever it's going to do, and we can all move on to bigger and better. I don't want to see it fail. I just don't think the team is doing a good enough job in communicating. I think Milton is still arrogant, and that turns a lot of people off, and I don't really think they care about the community at all. This is just about their baby, their project. You know, they want to get it running. They didn't care how it looked to the community on how them dropping the Terareum token launch on everybody at the last second with no warning whatsoever. That was all lost on them. So I hope it does well, but I have my doubts. The next video I'll do will be after December 26th for Terareum to see how it goes. And that's all I've got to say. We'll see you guys next time.